The latest. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. It happened again. Another leader in high Western office looked at the camera and insulted the dignity of the black race. Kemi Badenoch, the UK's former business secretary, thought she could dismiss the struggle of black people and the history of Africa with a wave of her hand. But this time, Ghana didn't stay silent. Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, the foreign minister of Ghana, stood up and delivered a response that didn't just defend Ghana, it defended the continent. But today, we have to ask the painful question. Why does this keep happening? Is it because of the Badenochs or of the world? Or is it because we, as Africans, are still mentally shackled to our colonial masters? Today, we go deep into the slavery mentality that is keeping us divided. Africans are still slaves. Even though we do not want to accept, we are still slaves. For those who miss it, the tension started when Kemi Badenoch made remarks that many saw as an insult to the black identity, dismissing the impact of colonial history and suggesting that the struggle is exaggerated. Ablakwa didn't hold back. He called her out for what she is, a house servant of the empire. He reminded the world that Ghana's dignity is not for debate. He told her that her skin color does not give her the right to weaponize colonial trauma against her own people. And why is it that when the black person manages to be on the same table with the oppressor, they tend to fight against their own people? It was a masterclass in diplomatic fire. But while we cheer for Ablakwa, we have to look at the mirror. Why did Kemi Badenoch feel so comfortable insulting us? It's because she knows the secret. Africa is its worst enemy. We are fighting among ourselves because we are still slaves to the borders they drew for us. In 1884, we fight over whether we are Anglophone or Francophone. We are dividing ourselves with tribalism. We don't see ourselves as one people. Labels given us by people who didn't even consider us humans. When an African child grows up in the West and rises to power, like Badenoch, they often feel they must outwit the white man to prove they belong.
About what the conservative leader has said, Kemi Badenoch, that's her opinion, that is clearly not supported by the fact. If you think about the historical fact, which cannot be contested, that slave masters were compensated in the UK, and taxpayers, she's concerned about taxpayers. She was not about taxpayers paying the slave owners who were compensated because slavery was abolished. And taxpayers, UK taxpayers, have been paying until 2015 the amount of money they've been paying, £20 million at the time. Estimates say that at today's value is in excess of £2 billion. And UK taxpayers have been burdened with that. They've paid the slave masters, can you believe that? Just for losing the slaves because slavery has been abolished. But the slaves themselves and their descendants were never compensated. And she doesn't appear concerned about that. That is really, really unfortunate. Really regrettable and unconscionable, I must say. And I do hope that she'll take a second look at her history notes and change her views on this matter.
This is the past. We need to talk about the future. There are many countries now who want to use guilt to try and exploit the UK. They ask for reparations. I saw it as a trade minister. It's not culture wars. I was at the WTO. I won't name the minister from another country. And he was telling me that we needed to give up some of the things that we were doing because of colonialism and because they needed time to develop. These arguments are a scam. Don't fall for it. We need to make sure that we put this country first. We work well with our neighbors. We work well with other countries, but we have to look after ourselves too.
Well, I mean, those advocating for reparations would say, shouldn't we just make up for some of the damage we did through slavery? As a black woman saying that, they may find that hard to understand from you.
Well, there are many things that the British Empire got wrong, but there are many amazing things that the British Empire also did. And we need to be honest about that and stop pretending that it was all bad. The British Empire ended slavery, the Atlantic slave trade. We need to talk about that more.
Kemi Badenoch has been elected as leader of the Conservative Party. Congratulations to her. She proudly says her parents didn't fall foul of the immigration rules. She's correct. Kemi Badenoch was born British, but that's only because of a loophole in the rules. Under Section 11 of the British Nationality Act 1981, a person automatically became British if they were born in the UK on the 1st of January 1983 or before. It didn't matter if these people had contributed to the United Kingdom, paid their taxes here, integrated, or even lived in the UK. All you had to do was have a child born in the UK. Incidentally, Margaret Thatcher legislated against it and closed that loophole and changed the rules. So whilst this rule doesn't exist anymore, there are other rules that's illegal, and whilst they are legal, they could lead to abuse. This is more of a moral argument. My advice to politicians like Kemi Badenoch: don't throw stones at others when you live in a house of glass.
The idea that paying reparations because some countries have demanded it means that everything is going to be okay is for the birds. I think these things are a scam when you have certain countries who don't have any new ideas or policies over there, and it's very easy for them to get support in their country by going to fight, another country, in this case the UK, or demand something. It's a way of them being populist in their countries. We shouldn't fall for it. We need politicians who are not naive. I don't like setting a target without a plan. If you look at when that law was put in place, I was one of only 2 people who stood up and said, what are we doing? Where's the plan? We cannot be reliant on dangerous countries for all of our oil and gas, and a lot of what's happening is that we're closing down our plants, making electricity and energy more expensive here and enriching other countries. If you want to get to net zero, if you do, you can't do it without oil and gas anyway. People know what I have done, what I've delivered. They know where I've made compromises to get stuff through.
They become the most aggressive critics of Africa just to keep their seats at the table. This is the ultimate tragedy of slave mentality. We have moved from physical chains to mental ones. Badenoch want to prove to the world that I am one of you, so I have to reject my people. But the butterfly always forgets one thing. Ablakwe's response was necessary, but it highlights a deeper wound. While we argue over who insulted whom, our resources are being looted. We fight over tribal lines because a colonial education taught us that. The other is the enemy. Your brother from Anglophone, Francophone, like what they are doing to the Sahelian leaders. We fight over religious lines because we adopted the goals of our conquest and forgot our own ancestors. And when we get up, we expect people to respect us when you do not value your own worship. We fight over foreign aid while our gold, cocoa, lithium, bauxite leave our shores. We are still slaves because we haven't realized that the person sitting next to us in Mali, Niger, or Burkina Faso is our brother. Instead, we look to London, Paris, Washington for validation. When someone like Badenoch insults us, it hurts because we still care what the masters think. Enough is enough. Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa did his part by speaking truth to power. But does that change the way our leaders themselves are doing things? When it came for these same leaders in power to stand firmly to defend the African by telling these people that we will rather choose our culture, our traditions, our values over anything from the West, we hear John Dramani Mahama telling us that Mangumangumang is not the most pressing issue. We have the most pressing issues at hand, and we have to tackle them. We have unemployment. You understand? And then when we finish, we are the same people who are expecting other people to respect us. The same thing that Bendanog or Bejanog is doing is the same thing that Okujoto Ablakwa is doing. Because if your government cannot look bold and firm and look into the eyes of these people and tell them our family lineage first, our culture, our custom, our tradition first, so for that matter, we cannot accept man, woman on the land of Ghana, then we are just the same as Kemi. If we are still looking at what Senegal President Diomaye Faye, without hesitating, delaying, just 135 lawmakers approving and him signing, and Ghana is still tossing and talking about international interests, talking about human rights, as if the majority have human left. Talking about how Lincoln University, why won't this woman, Kemi, talk to us anyhow? The secret is Africans are divided. The mental slavery is high. And what we need to be doing right now is for us to decolonize the mentality. Like Bob Marley said, and the president of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, quoted, yet when we needed this man to be firm and bold, John Mahama cannot do that. So Ablakwa did his part by speaking, but we are all mentally enslaved. And that is why before we take any decision, we are looking at the validation from Washington, from Paris, from Munich, and from other places. This decision I am going to take, is it going to benefit the African? Our leaders don't consider that. Our leaders are sitting here pointing fingers at the leaders in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso for doing the right thing. Yet we are begging these same people to have mercy on you so you can continue to be having tomato where you have the most fertile land. You eat democracy, you praise yourselves how you are able to protect democracy from one republic to the other. Yet you can barely feed yourselves. And you are pointing fingers at the same people you are calling undemocratic. He spoke for Ghana. Who will speak for Africa? We are one people. And until we start seeing ourselves as such, everybody will continue to see us this way. And our own kind who manage to be on the same table of the oppressor will forget that a butterfly can never be a bird. Neither can a leopard change its skin. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world, in Africa, West Africa, and in Ghana.